you put together for a team. How did it feel? How did it come together for you?
Yeah, it feels really good. Yeah, I think we have a great group. What's interesting is
A legend just broke the code. Sue Bird didn't hint, didn't suggest, didn't carefully word a diplomatic statement through a publicist. She drew a line in the sand, and Angel Reese is on the wrong side of it. This isn't a rumor. This isn't speculation. Sue Bird, now the managing director of Team USA Women's Basketball, one of the most decorated players to ever touch a court, looked at everything Angel Reese has been doing this offseason and made a decision that's sending shockwaves through the WNBA. And here's what makes this absolutely explosive. Sue Bird doesn't do drama. She doesn't do public call-outs. She's the player who led with grace, who won with class, who built a legacy on professionalism. When someone like that speaks up, when someone like that threatens action, you need to pay attention, because it means the situation has gone further than most people realize. What she said is going to stop you cold. But before we get to her exact words, you need to understand why this moment matters. Because this isn't just about Angel Reese. This is about what it means to represent your country. This is about the difference between building a brand and forgetting what that brand is supposed to stand for. This is about the collision between social media fame and actual basketball excellence. And right now, those two things are at war. While Angel Reese has been dominating headlines, Caitlin Clark has been dominating gyms. No cameras. No choreographed content. Just work. The contrast couldn't be sharper, and Sue Bird sees it. The veterans see it. And now the consequences are coming. Here's the question that's making everyone uncomfortable. When was the last time you saw Angel Reese just playing basketball? Not a highlight reel cut to perfection. Not a 10-second clip that stops right before the miss. Not a perfectly lit Instagram story with a motivational caption. Just pure, unfiltered, actual basketball. Scroll through her feed right now. Go ahead. Try to find it. You'll find red carpets, designer outfits, podcast appearances where she talks about everything except her jump shot, posts that rack up thousands of likes and then quietly vanish when the comments turn critical. A steady stream of salary complaints framed like activism but landing like complaints from someone who just discovered that controversy gets engagement. None of this would matter if the other side of the scale was balanced. Players build brands. That's not just acceptable, it's smart. LeBron did it. Serena did it. The greatest athletes in the world understand that their platform extends beyond the court. But here's the catch. Those legends never let the brand eclipse the game. They never let the noise drown out the work. They never gave you a reason to question whether they cared more about their image than their craft. And that's exactly what's happening with Angel Reese right now. Sue Bird built her career differently. 4 WNBA championships. 5 Olympic gold medals. A resume so decorated that when she speaks about what it takes to wear Team USA across your chest, people listen. She knows what sacrifice looks like. She knows what discipline requires. She knows the difference between someone who wants to be great and someone who wants to look great. And she's watched Angel Reese's offseason with growing concern. The managing director role isn't ceremonial. Sue Bird has real power, real influence, real authority over who gets to represent the United States on the international stage. And she's not afraid to use it. Because here's what most people don't understand about Team USA. It's not a right. It's not a guarantee. It doesn't matter how high you were drafted. It doesn't matter how many double-doubles you averaged. It doesn't matter how many Instagram followers you have. What matters is whether you embody what that jersey represents. Right now, Angel Reese is giving Sue Bird every reason to believe she doesn't. The red carpets kept coming. The podcast rants got louder. The salary complaints became a constant drumbeat. And somewhere in all of that noise, the actual basketball started to disappear. Sue Bird noticed. The veterans noticed. And now the reckoning is here. What Sue Bird actually said, the words that have the WNBA world absolutely spinning right now, cuts deeper than anyone expected. It's not the kind of thing legends usually say out loud. It's not politically correct. It's not carefully crafted for social media. It's the truth. And the truth is about to change everything for Angel Reese. But before we reveal those exact words, you need to understand just how far this has gone, because what's been happening behind the scenes is even worse than what you've seen in public. The meeting happened 3 weeks ago. Nobody was supposed to know about it. Team USA keeps these discussions internal, locked down, protected from the media circus. But when Sue Bird walks into a room with that kind of energy, with that kind of purpose, word gets out. Multiple sources confirmed it. Sue Bird called a meeting specifically to address brand management versus basketball commitment among potential Team USA candidates. Angel Reese's name wasn't just mentioned. It dominated the conversation. Here's what Sue Bird reportedly said, and I'm paraphrasing based on multiple independent sources who were either in the room or briefed immediately after. "We cannot have players on this roster who treat representing their country like another photo shoot opportunity. Team USA is not a line on your resume. It's not content for your feed. It's the culmination of dedication, sacrifice, and an unwavering commitment to the game. If your off-season tells me you care more about clicks than craft, you won't wear this jersey." Let that sink in. Sue Bird didn't dance around it. Didn't use coded language. She called it exactly what it is. And then she went further. According to sources present, she pulled up social media analytics. Actual data showing the ratio of basketball content to lifestyle content from various players during the off-season. Angel Reese's numbers were stunning, and not in a good way. Less than 15% of her social media content over the past 4 months has been basketball related. 15%. That means 85% of what she's putting out into the world, what she's using to build her brand, what she's prioritizing with her time and energy, has nothing to do with the game that's supposed to be her profession. Sue Bird compared that to other players. Caitlin Clark's ratio? Over 60% basketball content. Aya Wilson? 70%. Breanna Stewart? 65%. These are players who understand that your brand is built on your game, not despite it. The room went silent. Because this wasn't subjective opinion. This was objective data showing exactly where Angel Reese's priorities have been. And when you're evaluating someone for Team USA, priorities matter more than potential. But Sue Bird wasn't done. She addressed the elephant in the room that nobody wanted to talk about, the salary complaints. Not because the complaints themselves are invalid. WNBA salaries are a real issue that deserves serious discussion, but because of how Angel Reese has been handling it. When you complain about your salary on Instagram Live while posting photos from luxury vacations and wearing designer outfits that cost more than that salary, you're not advocating for change, Bird reportedly said. You're damaging the credibility of everyone actually trying to negotiate better conditions for all players. This is the part that has veterans furious. The WNBA is in the middle of sensitive CBA negotiations right now. Conversations that could genuinely improve pay structures, benefits, and working conditions for every player in the league. These negotiations require strategy, unity, and careful messaging. And then Angel Reese goes on Instagram Live talking about how the WNBA doesn't pay any of her bills, framing it like some kind of expose, while simultaneously posting content that makes her look financially comfortable. It undermines everything. The players actually leading these negotiations, the ones doing the real work behind closed doors, are reportedly livid. Because now, every time they sit down with league officials, they have to overcome the perception that WNBA players are ungrateful, that they don't understand business, that they complain publicly instead of negotiating professionally. One veteran player, speaking on condition of anonymity, put it bluntly, "Angel is making it harder for all of us to get what we deserve because she doesn't understand the difference between advocacy and complaining." Sue Bird echoed this in the meeting. She pointed out that when legends like Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, and Diana Taurasi fought for better conditions, they did it strategically. They built coalitions. They presented data. They negotiated from a position of strength built on undeniable on-court excellence. They didn't go viral for complaining. They created change through competence. And that's the standard Sue Bird is holding potential Team USA players to. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Angel Reese isn't just any player. She's a cultural phenomenon. She has massive social media following. She moves the needle in terms of visibility and reach. In theory, that's exactly what women's basketball needs. In theory. The problem is that visibility without substance is just noise. And noise doesn't win gold medals. Sue Bird knows this better than anyone. She played in an era when women's basketball was fighting for every ounce of attention, every television contract, every sponsorship dollar. She understands the value of marketability. But she also understands that marketability built on anything other than basketball excellence is a house of cards. And right now, Angel Reese's house is starting to collapse. The fan backlash is real. People who bought her shoes are asking for refunds. Not haters. Not trolls. Actual fans who believed in her enough to spend money, who are now feeling betrayed because the product doesn't match the marketing. When your own supporters start turning on you, that's not a crisis you can spin your way out of. Sue Bird sees all of this. She sees the social media metrics, the fan frustration, the veteran resentment, the damage to CBA negotiations, and the growing gap between Angel Reese's brand and her basketball development. And she's made a decision. But the question everyone's asking now is whether she'll actually follow through, because firing someone from Team USA before they've even officially made the roster sets a precedent that could change everything. Let's talk about what Angel Reese's offseason actually looked like. Because when you line it all up, when you see it as a complete picture rather than isolated moments, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Met Gala, New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, 3 separate podcast appearances, a Sports Illustrated photo shoot, multiple brand events for Reebok, Coach, and PlayStation. Red carpet after red carpet after red carpet. And look, let's be absolutely clear. None of this is inherently wrong. Athletes are brands. We live in an era where your earning potential extends far beyond your salary. Marketing yourself, building partnerships, creating opportunities, that's smart business. That's being strategic about your career. LeBron James did it. He's now worth over $1 billion, and a huge chunk of that came from understanding his value off the court. Serena Williams built an empire that extends into fashion, venture capital, and media. These are blueprints for success. But here's what people keep missing in the Angel Reese conversation. LeBron never stopped being the best basketball player on the planet. Serena never let her business ventures interfere with her dominance on the tennis court. The brand was built on the game, not instead of it. Angel Reese is doing it backwards. She's building the lifestyle brand, cultivating the image, securing the endorsements, but the foundation, the actual basketball excellence that's supposed to support all of it, is cracking. Let me show you exactly what I mean. In January, Angel posted a photo from a luxury resort in the Bahamas. Designer bikini, professional photography, caption about rest and recovery. It got 847,000 likes. 3 days later, she posted a 15-second gym clip. Basic layup drills, no defenders, no intensity. It got 94,000 likes. The ratio tells you everything. Her audience isn't following her for basketball. They're following her for lifestyle content. And here's the dangerous part. When your engagement comes from everything except the thing you're supposed to be professional at, you start optimizing for the wrong metrics. You start asking yourself, why spend 3 hours in the gym for a post that gets 100,000 likes when I can spend 30 minutes at a photo shoot and get 800,000? The algorithm rewards the wrong behavior. And Angel Reese is getting trapped in that cycle. February brought New York Fashion Week. Angel attended 4 shows. Posted 23 times across Instagram and TikTok. Every major fashion outlet covered her looks. She was trending on Twitter for 3 straight days. Her jump shot didn't improve. March was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Another massive visibility moment. Another wave of mainstream attention. Another flood of new followers who have probably never watched a WNBA game. Her free throw percentage didn't improve. April brought the Met Gala, one of the biggest cultural events of the year. Angel showed up in a custom gown, walked the red carpet alongside A-list celebrities, generated millions of impressions across social media. Her defensive rotations didn't improve. Do you see the pattern? Every single one of these moments elevated Angel Reese the brand. Every single one expanded her reach, her influence, her cultural relevance. By traditional marketing metrics, she's absolutely winning. But by basketball metrics? By the standards that actually matter for someone who wants to compete at the highest level? By the criteria Sue Bird is using to evaluate Team USA candidates? She's falling behind. And the most damaging part is that Angel seems to genuinely believe these two things are the same. That building her brand is building her basketball career. That visibility equals value. It doesn't. In a podcast appearance in March, Angel was asked about her off-season training. Her answer was revealing. I'm always working. Even when I'm at these events, I'm working. I'm building my brand, creating opportunities, showing young girls that you can be an athlete and be fashionable and be business-minded. Notice what's missing from that answer? Any mention of actually getting better at basketball. The interviewer followed up, asking specifically about her shooting development. Angel laughed it off. People are always going to criticize. I'm a double-double machine. I do what I do. I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. That answer should terrify Chicago Sky fans. Because I'm not trying to be someone I'm not is code for I'm not trying to improve my weaknesses. And in professional sports, the moment you stop trying to improve is the moment you start declining. Sue Bird heard that interview. So did every other Team USA decision maker. And here's what they heard. A player who's comfortable with her current skill level. A player who's more interested in defending her brand than developing her game. A player who sees criticism as hate rather than information. That's not the mindset of a champion. The contrast with other young stars in the league couldn't be sharper. Caitlin Clark spent her off-season doing the opposite. Minimal public appearances, maximum gym time. When she did post, it was workout footage, real footage, full sessions showing the misses along with the makes. No photo shoots, no fashion weeks, no podcasts, just work. Aya Wilson was the same way. Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu. Every player who's actually competing for Team USA spots spent their off-season obsessed with getting better. Angel Reese spent hers obsessed with getting seen. And now Sue Bird has to make a choice. Does she reward the work or the visibility? Does she choose the player who's building a basketball legacy or the player who's building an Instagram following? Because here's the truth that's making this decision so explosive. Angel Reese probably has enough talent to make Team USA. Her rebounding is genuinely elite. Her energy and physicality bring something valuable. But talent isn't enough. Team USA isn't just about assembling the 12 most skilled players. It's about building a team with the right mindset, the right priorities, the right commitment level. And everything about Angel Reese's off-season screams wrong priorities. Sue Bird knows that one player with misaligned priorities can poison an entire locker room, can create distractions, can undermine the culture that winning requires. She's not willing to risk it. But the backlash she's facing for even considering this move is intense, because Angel Reese isn't just a player. Now let's talk about the basketball. Because all the brand building, all the social media presence, all the cultural relevance means absolutely nothing if the game isn't there to back it up. And when you actually watch Angel Reese play, when you break down the film without the hype, without the highlight reels, without the manufactured narratives, serious problems emerge. Problems that should have been addressed this off-season. Problems that are getting worse, not better. Start with her shooting. Angel Reese shot 39.1% from the field last season. For context, that's not just below average for a post player. That's alarming. Most elite forwards and centers operate between 50 to 55% because they're taking high percentage shots close to the basket. Angel takes those same shots and misses at a rate that suggests fundamental mechanical issues. Her layup package is limited. She has essentially two moves, a right-handed jump hook and a power layup through contact. Both work occasionally because of her athleticism and physicality. Neither work consistently because her touch around the rim is inconsistent and her finishing angles are predictable. Defenders have figured this out. Watch the tape from the last month of the WNBA season. Every team was playing her the exact same way. Give her space on the perimeter, crowd the paint when she drives, force her into contested finishes, live with the results. And it worked. Her scoring dropped significantly as the season progressed. Not because she was tired, though that's the excuse her supporters used, but because teams had a scouting report that worked and she had no counter. A summer in the gym working with a skills coach could have changed that. Could have added a left-handed finish. Could have developed a short mid-range jumper to punish defenses for sagging off. Could have refined her footwork to create better angles. Instead, she was in Paris. The workout videos she did post tell their own story. And this is where it gets really problematic because these videos aren't just uninspiring, they're actively misleading. One video from February shows Angel making 7 three-pointers in a row. Looks impressive. Got hundreds of thousands of views. Comments full of "she's adding range to her game," and "league isn't ready for this." Here's what the video doesn't show: the 30 misses before those 7 makes. The fact that she was completely unguarded. The fact that her form was different on almost every attempt, suggesting these were lucky makes rather than repeatable mechanics. Professional skills trainers who analyzed that video pointed out that her base is inconsistent, her release point changes, and her follow-through is abbreviated. In other words, even when she makes them, she's making them wrong. That's not skill development. That's content creation. Another video from March shows her doing ball handling drills. Crossovers between the legs behind the back. The caption read, "Expanding my game. Can't guard this." A former NBA player and current skills development coach broke down that video on his own channel. His analysis was brutal. These are drills a high school player should master. For a professional who's been playing her entire life, this should be automatic, not something you post like it's an achievement. And even here, her handles are loose. She's not protecting the ball. No defender within 5 feet. This doesn't translate to games. But the video got traction. Got shares. It fed the narrative that Angel was putting in work. Except the actual results tell a different story. Want to know the most damning statistic from Angel Reese's rookie season? It's not the field goal percentage, though that's bad enough. It's this. In games decided by 5 points or fewer in the fourth quarter, Angel Reese's plus-minus was -8.7. Translation: When games were close and winning plays mattered most, her team was significantly better with her on the bench. That's not a role player stat. That's not a rookie adjustment stat. That's a fundamental problem with how her game translates to winning basketball. Sue Bird knows this stat. She knows all of these stats. Because when you're evaluating players for Team USA, you don't go by Instagram highlights. You go by film. You go by advanced metrics. You go by how players perform in pressure situations against elite competition. And Angel Reese's tape in those situations is concerning. There's a specific play that's been circulating among coaches and analysts. Game in late August against the Las Vegas Aces. Chicago down 2:90 seconds left. Angel gets the ball on the block with single coverage. This should be automatic. This is exactly the situation a double-double machine should dominate. She tries to back down her defender. Gets stopped. Picks up her dribble. Throws up a wild hook shot that doesn't draw iron. Turnover on downs. Vegas scores on the other end. Game over. In the post-game interview, Angel blamed the officiating. Said she was fouled. The replay shows she wasn't. That play has been shown in coaching clinics as an example of poor post fundamentals. Not to mock her, but to teach young players what not to do. The premature pickup. The lack of a counter move. The wild shot selection. And here's the thing, that play is fixable. Completely fixable. A month with a post-play specialist could transform her effectiveness in those situations. Did she work with a post-play specialist this off-season? No evidence suggests she did. You know who did? Caitlin Clark worked with a shooting coach to refine her deep range. Aya Wilson worked with Hakeem Olajuwon on post moves. Brianna Stewart trained with a defensive specialist to improve her perimeter coverage. The players who are serious about their craft seek out expert help to address specific weaknesses. Angel Reese sought out red carpets. The Michigan State coach, during a preseason interview, was asked about matchups he was concerned about. His answer raised eyebrows. Reese's rebounding is elite, no question. But if we can keep her off the offensive glass and make her create her own shot, we feel comfortable with that matchup. Read that again. A college coach said he feels comfortable matching up against a top WNBA draft pick. That should never happen. The gap between elite college players and professional players should be enormous. But Angel's skill development hasn't matched her professional status. And the truly terrifying part? She doesn't seem to think that's a problem. In a podcast appearance in April, she was asked about her shooting percentage. Her response, "I get my rebounds. I get my double-doubles. That's what I do. People want to criticize, go ahead. I'm going to keep being me." Sue Bird heard that. And she heard it for what it really is. A player who stopped trying to improve? Let's talk about the money. Because this is where Angel Reese's offseason went from questionable to actively damaging. Not just to her own reputation, but to every player in the WNBA trying to build a better future. The Instagram Live happened on a Tuesday night in March. Angel, sitting in what appears to be a luxury apartment, wearing designer loungewear, casually drops this bomb. "I just hope y'all know the WNBA doesn't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally not one bill." The video went instantly viral. Millions of views. Picked up by every sports media outlet. Endless debate about WNBA salaries, gender pay gaps, and athlete compensation. On the surface, she's highlighting a real issue. WNBA salaries are objectively low compared to men's professional sports. The average WNBA salary is around $120,000. The average NBA salary is over $10 million. That gap is real, it's significant, and it deserves serious conversation. But context matters. And the context of how Angel delivered this message undermined everything. Because as she's complaining about her $74,000 salary not covering her bills, her Instagram feed tells a very different story. Posts from Turks and Caicos. Designer bags. Fashion Week. Courtside seats at NBA games. A lifestyle that most Americans, including most WNBA fans, could never afford. The optics were catastrophic. The immediate response wasn't sympathy. It was fury. Comments flooded in asking what bill she possibly has that $74,000 doesn't cover. Questions about her designer clothes. Criticism about complaining about money while living lavishly. And here's the devastating part. That backlash didn't just hurt Angel. It hurt every WNBA player. Because now, when veteran players who've been strategically negotiating for better pay structures sit down with league officials, they have to overcome the perception that players don't understand basic economics. That they're entitled. That they complain publicly instead of working professionally. The CBA negotiations are happening right now. Real conversations about revenue sharing, salary caps, benefits, travel conditions. These negotiations are complex, delicate, and require careful strategy. Angel's Instagram rant made them harder. Multiple veteran players have spoken anonymously about their frustration. One told a reporter, "We've been working for years to build a business case for better compensation. We've gathered data, built relationships, created proposals." And then Angel goes on Instagram and makes us all look like we don't understand that a $74,000 salary is actually a lot of money for millions of Americans. Another veteran was more blunt. She's making six figures from Reebok alone. She has deals with PlayStation, Coach, McDonald's. Her NIL valuation was nearly $2 million. And she's complaining that her WNBA salary doesn't pay her bills? What bills? Her luxury apartment in Chicago? Her designer wardrobe? That's not advocacy. That's tone-deaf complaining. Sue Bird addressed this directly in her reported Team USA meeting. She pointed out that when she and other legends fought for better WNBA conditions, they did it differently. They built coalitions with other players. They presented economic data to league officials showing revenue growth and arguing for proportional salary increases. They worked with lawyers and agents to craft sophisticated proposals. They treated it like a business negotiation, not a social media complaint. And they made progress. Real, measurable progress. Salary caps have increased. Travel conditions have improved. Benefits packages have expanded. That progress came from professionalism, not from going viral. Angel's approach does the opposite. It creates headlines without creating solutions. It generates engagement without generating change. Worse, it plays directly into the stereotypes that people use to dismiss WNBA players' legitimate grievances. You know what happened after Angel's Instagram live? Conservative sports media had a field day. Talking heads spent weeks using her as an example of entitled athletes who don't understand economics and should be grateful for what they have. Those talking heads didn't distinguish between Angel and other WNBA players. They used her comments to dismiss the entire league's compensation arguments. That's collateral damage that veterans are still trying to clean up. And here's the part that makes Sue Bird absolutely furious. Angel had a platform to actually make a difference. She has millions of followers. She has media attention. She has cultural relevance. If she had used that platform strategically, she could have genuinely advanced the conversation about WNBA pay. Imagine if instead of complaining on Instagram Live, she had partnered with the Players Association to release a detailed report on WNBA compensation structures. Imagine if she had organized a panel discussion with economists and sports business experts. Imagine if she had used her visibility to highlight the specific proposals players are making in CBA negotiations. That would have been powerful. That would have created pressure for change. Instead, she went for clicks. And the truly damaging part? Her salary complaints are factually misleading. She said the WNBA doesn't pay one bill. But let's do the actual math. Her rookie salary was $74,000 for the season. After taxes and agent fees, she probably took home around $50,000. That's for roughly 6 months of work, given the WNBA season length. Now, $50,000 for 6 months absolutely doesn't compare to NBA salaries. That gap is real and worth addressing. But claiming it doesn't pay one bill, while simultaneously posting luxury lifestyle content creates cognitive dissonance that undermines her credibility. People started digging into her finances. Not in a creepy way, but analyzing her public statements and endorsement deals. Reebok deal. Estimated $1.5 million over 4 years. PlayStation partnership. Estimated $200,000 annually. Coach endorsement. Estimated $150,000. McDonald's campaign. Estimated $100,000. Her total annual income is estimated somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000. Again, that's not NBA money. The pay gap between men's and women's professional basketball is real and indefensible. But complaining about a $74,000 salary when you're making $750,000 total comes across as either dishonest or financially illiterate. Neither is a good look. Sue Bird's point in the Team USA meeting was clear. If you want to advocate for better pay, you have to be credible. You have to be strategic. You have to understand the business and make sophisticated arguments. Angel's approach failed on all counts. And now there are consequences. Now let's talk about the player who's doing everything right. Because the contrast isn't just important, it's the entire reason Sue Bird's decision matters. While Angel Reese was walking red carpets, Caitlin Clark was in a gym in Iowa. No cameras. No social media posts. just work. While Angel was complaining about her salary on Instagram, Caitlin was working with a shooting coach to extend her range even deeper. While Angel was at Fashion Week, Caitlin was running through defensive drills with professional trainers. The difference isn't subtle. It's a chasm. And everyone in women's basketball sees it. Caitlin Clark's offseason was documented not through her own social media, but through occasional sightings by people who happened to be at the same gyms. A college coach who ran into her at a training facility in Dallas reported that she was doing 3-hour sessions, 6 days a week. 3 hours, 6 days a week. Not for content, not for brand building, for the pure pursuit of getting better. A skills trainer who worked with her posted, with her permission, a brief video showing her workout routine. It's striking in its intensity. Full court conditioning drills. Shooting from NBA range with a defender closing out. Ball handling work against double teams. Everything is game speed. Everything is contested. Nothing is choreographed for Instagram. The caption from the trainer was simple. This is what elite looks like. He didn't mention Angel Reese. He didn't have to. Caitlin's social media presence during the off-season was minimal. A handful of posts, mostly thanking sponsors or congratulating other players. No fashion content. No luxury vacation photos. No podcast appearances talking about anything except basketball. When she did give interviews, the contrast with Angel was stark. In one interview, she was asked about her off-season priorities. Her answer, I want to improve my decision-making in pick-and-roll situations. I want to be more efficient with my shot selection. I want to be a better defender. There's so much room for growth, and that's what excites me. Notice the difference? Angel's interviews are about her brand, her critics, her salary. Caitlin's interviews are about her weaknesses and how she's fixing them. That's the mindset of a champion. Sue Bird sees this. She played with and against players like Caitlin her entire career. Players who are obsessed with improvement. Players who see their current skill level as a starting point, not a destination. And she knows that mindset is contagious. When you have a player like Caitlin in your locker room, she raises everyone's standards. Her work ethic becomes the baseline. Her focus becomes the culture. When you have a player like Angel in your locker room, the opposite happens. Suddenly, other players start wondering if they should be building their brand instead of their game. If they should be complaining louder about money. If they should be prioritizing visibility over victory. Team USA can't afford that cultural contamination. The statistical comparison between Caitlin and Angel is important context here. Caitlin Clark's rookie season, 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, 5.7 rebounds per game. 41.7% from the field, 34.4% from three-point range. Angel Reese's rookie season, 13.6 points, 13.1 rebounds, 1.3 assists per game. 39.1% from the field. Both had impressive rookie campaigns in different ways. Angel's rebounding was genuinely elite. Caitlin's playmaking was historically good. But look at the trajectory. Caitlin's numbers improved as the season went on. By the final month, she was averaging over 21 points and 9 assists. She got better as she adjusted to the professional game. Angel's numbers declined. By the final month, her scoring was down to 11.8 points per game and her field goal percentage dropped to 36.2%. She got worse as teams figured her out. One player adapted and improved. One player got exposed and didn't counter. The off-season was the opportunity to change that trajectory. Caitlin used it to get better. Angel used it to get famous. And Sue Bird is deciding which of those approaches deserves to represent Team USA. Here's what makes this even more complicated. Angel Reese has publicly talked about wanting to be on Team USA. She's posted about it. She's mentioned it in interviews as a goal. But she hasn't done the work that achieving that goal requires. Caitlin hasn't talked about Team USA publicly. She's never posted about it. In interviews, she deflects questions about it with some version of, I'm focused on improving my game and helping my team. If other opportunities come from that, great. She's letting her work speak. And it's speaking loudly. Multiple Team USA veterans have privately expressed their preference for Caitlin's approach. One told a reporter, I want players who are so focused on getting better that everything else is secondary. Caitlin is that player. She reminds me of Sue Bird 20 years ago. Just pure basketball obsession. That comparison to young Sue Bird is significant. Because Sue knows exactly what it takes to sustain excellence over a long career. She knows the work required. She knows the mindset necessary. And she sees that mindset in Caitlin. She doesn't see it in Angel. This isn't about talent. Angel has plenty of talent. Her physical tools are elite. Her motor is high. Her rebounding instincts are genuinely special. This is about priorities. And right now, Angel's priorities are misaligned with what Team USA requires. The decision Sue Bird is facing comes down to a simple question. Do you reward the player who's building a brand or the player who's building a legacy? Do you choose the Instagram star or the gym rat? Do you select based on potential or based on commitment? Because you can't have both. Angel and Caitlin represent two different paths in modern women's basketball. One path prioritizes visibility, marketability, and cultural relevance. The other prioritizes skill development, winning, and long-term excellence. Both paths have value in the abstract, but only one path leads to Team USA. Sue Bird is drawing that line, and the backlash is getting ugly. The backlash started small and then exploded. It began with a tweet from a prominent sports journalist, hearing rumors that Angel Reese might not make Team USA roster. If true, this is a disgrace. Within hours, it was trending. The responses split immediately into two camps, and the divide revealed something deeper than just a disagreement about basketball. One side argued that Angel Reese is being unfairly targeted for doing exactly what male athletes do all the time: building her brand, leveraging her platform, speaking out about pay inequality. The other side argued that she's facing consequences for prioritizing everything except the actual game, and those consequences are deserved. But the most interesting responses came from fans themselves. Remember those Reebok shoes? The Angel Reese signature sneakers that dropped in February with massive hype and celebrity endorsements? Fans are asking for refunds. Not all of them, but enough that Reebok is reportedly dealing with a PR crisis. Here's what's happening. People bought those shoes because they believed in what Angel represented. They saw the college dominance. They saw the double-doubles. They saw a young, confident black woman making waves in professional sports. They invested in that story. And then the off-season happened, and the story changed. Instead of seeing Angel in the gym, they saw her on red carpets. Instead of development, they saw deflection. Instead of growth, they saw grievance. The product didn't match the marketing. One fan posted a video on TikTok that went viral. She's holding the Angel Reese Reeboks still in the box. Her caption: "I bought these because I thought I was supporting a baller. Turns out I was supporting an influencer who plays basketball sometimes." The video has over 2 million views. Comments are brutal but revealing. Same. Asking for my refund today. I wanted to support her game. What game? She's giving us everything except basketball. The shoes can't rebound for you, Angel. This isn't normal athlete criticism. This isn't haters being haters. This is a fanbase feeling betrayed. And that betrayal stems from a fundamental disconnect between what Angel is selling and what she's delivering. She's marketing herself as an elite basketball player while behaving like a celebrity who happens to play basketball. Those are not the same thing. Fans can feel the difference. Reebok is in a difficult position. They invested significant money in Angel's signature line. They built marketing campaigns around her personality and confidence. They bet on her star power translating to sales. Early sales were strong. The initial drop sold well, but then the returns started coming in, and the restock isn't moving. Why? Because the story collapsed. Nobody wants to wear shoes endorsed by a player who doesn't seem serious about the game. The shoes don't carry credibility. They don't represent excellence. They represent hype without substance, and people are figuring that out. Compare this to Caitlin Clark's signature Nike line. Those shoes are backordered for months. Why? Because when people wear them, they're wearing the credibility of a player who's proven she's obsessed with getting better. The shoe becomes a symbol of work ethic. Angel's shoes were supposed to symbolize confidence and personality. But without basketball excellence backing it up, they just feel empty. The financial implications are significant. Angel's endorsement value is directly tied to her credibility. If her signature line fails, future brands will be hesitant to invest. And that affects her earnings far more than any WNBA salary increase would. Ironically, by complaining about her basketball salary while neglecting her basketball development, she's damaging her earning potential in the market that actually pays well: endorsements. Sue Bird understands this dynamic intimately. She built one of the most valuable personal brands in women's basketball history. Not by chasing red carpets, but by winning. Not by complaining about pay, but by delivering championships. Brands wanted to work with Sue Bird because she represented excellence. Angel is representing something else entirely, and it's catching up to her. The veteran backlash is perhaps even more damaging than the fan response. Multiple WNBA players have subtly distanced themselves from Angel's salary complaints. Not publicly, that would violate the unwritten code of player solidarity, but through carefully worded statements that make their position clear. When asked about WNBA pay, Aya Wilson said, "We're working through the proper channels to improve conditions for everyone. It's a complex process that requires strategy and patience." Translation: stop complaining on Instagram and let the professionals handle it. Breanna Stewart was even more direct. "The best way to increase our value is to increase our game. Everything else follows from excellence." Translation: get better at basketball and the money will come. These aren't random comments. These are deliberate messages aimed at Angel without naming her. And she's either not hearing them or not caring. In a podcast appearance last week, Angel was asked about the criticism she's facing. Her response: "People are going to hate. I'm unbothered. I know my worth." That answer perfectly encapsulates the problem. She's interpreting legitimate criticism as hate. She's framing accountability as jealousy. She's mistaking confidence for competence. Sue Bird doesn't see an unbothered player. She sees a player who stopped listening to coaching. And a player who stops listening stops improving. The Team USA decision is now about more than just Angel's individual case. It's about what message gets sent to young players watching. If Angel makes the roster despite everything we've discussed, the questionable priorities, the social media behavior, the lack of skill development, the damage to CBA negotiations, what does that teach the next generation? It teaches them that brand matters more than game. That visibility matters more than victory. That talking matters more than training. That's a message Sue Bird refuses to send. But if Angel gets left off the roster, the backlash will be massive. Claims of unfair treatment. Accusations of old school thinking. Debates about whether women athletes are held to different standards than men. Sue Bird is prepared for that fight. Because she knows what's actually at stake here. Let's talk about what Team USA actually means. Because I don't think Angel Reese understands it. And I don't think a lot of her supporters understand it either. Team USA isn't the all-star team. It's not a popularity contest. It's not a reward for having the most Instagram followers or the biggest endorsement deals. It's the culmination of basketball excellence, professionalism, and sacrifice. Every player who's ever worn that jersey understands what it represents. You're not just representing yourself or your WNBA team. You're representing an entire country. Every possession matters. Every practice matters. Every moment you're together is about collective excellence, not individual brand building. Sue Bird won 5 Olympic gold medals. She knows what the commitment requires. The training camps are intense. Practices are harder than regular season games. The competition for playing time is fierce even though you're surrounded by all-stars. And here's the critical part. Your teammates have to trust you. Trust that you've done the work. Trust that you're there for the right reasons. Trust that when the pressure is at its highest, you'll execute. Can Sue Bird trust Angel Reese? Based on everything this offseason has shown, that's a serious question. Trust isn't built through Instagram posts. It's built through years of proven commitment, through showing up when nobody's watching, through prioritizing the team over yourself. Caitlin Clark is building that trust even before she's officially being evaluated for Team USA. Angel is eroding it. Here's a story that's been circulating among USA basketball insiders. During the last Olympic training camp, there was a player, not naming names, who showed up and immediately started posting on social media. Photos from the locker room, videos from practice, constant updates to keep her followers engaged. Sue Bird pulled her aside after the second day. The conversation was direct. Your phone stays in your locker during everything team-related. We're not here to create content. We're here to win gold. The player was reportedly offended. Felt like she was being singled out. Complained to other teammates that Sue was being controlling. She didn't make the final roster. Not because of that incident alone, but because that incident revealed her mindset. It showed she was thinking about her brand first and the team second. That's unacceptable at this level. Now imagine Angel Reese in that environment. Based on everything we've seen this offseason, how do you think she handles being told to put her phone away? How does she respond to coaching that challenges her? How does she react when she's not the focal point of the offense? Sue Bird doesn't have to imagine. She has enough data to make an educated assessment. And that assessment is apparently leading toward a hard no. The veteran players who would be Angel's teammates on Team USA have their own concerns. Multiple sources indicate that in informal conversations, established Team USA players have expressed reservations about Angel's fit. It's not personal. It's not about disliking her. It's about whether her priorities align with what Team USA requires. One veteran reportedly said, "I need to know that everyone in that locker room cares more about the gold medal than their next Instagram post. I need to know that when we're grinding through our third practice of the day, everyone is locked in. I can't be wondering if someone is thinking about their brand instead of the game plan." That's not an unreasonable standard. That's the baseline for international competition. The United States has dominated women's basketball for decades. 7 consecutive Olympic gold medals. Undefeated streaks that span years. That dominance doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of culture, because of standards, because of a collective commitment to excellence that overrides individual agendas. Sue Bird is the guardian of that culture now, and she's looking at Angel Reese thinking, does this player strengthen or weaken what we've built? The international context matters too. When you play for Team USA, you're facing opponents who are desperate to beat you. Teams that have been preparing specifically to take down the Americans. Players who see defeating the US as their defining career moment. You need players who thrive under that pressure. Players who've proven they get better when the stakes are highest. Does Angel Reese's track record suggest she's that player? Remember that stat from earlier. In close games, her plus-minus was significantly negative. When the pressure was on, her impact decreased. That's not the profile of someone you trust in Olympic elimination games. Caitlin Clark, meanwhile, built her college legacy on hitting impossible shots in the biggest moments. Her best games came against the best competition. The contrast matters. Sue Bird is also thinking long-term. The 2028 Olympics are in Los Angeles. Home soil. The pressure will be immense. She's not just building a roster for now. She's building the foundation for the next Olympic cycle. Does Angel Reese have a place in that future? Only if she fundamentally changes her approach. Only if she prioritizes development over brand building. Only if she shows she can be coached, can be a great teammate, can subordinate her ego to collective success. Nothing in her off-season suggests she's capable of any of that right now. And Sue Bird isn't willing to gamble Team USA's gold medal streak on the hope that Angel will mature. Here's the decision tree Sue is working through. Scenario 1. Include Angel. She brings elite rebounding but requires significant offensive possessions that could go to more efficient scores. Her social media behavior creates distractions. Her attitude potentially undermines team culture. Risk high. Reward: one elite skill that other players also possess. Scenario 2. Exclude Angel. Face backlash and accusations of being old school or unfair. But ensure every player on the roster is there for the right reasons, with proven commitment and professionalism. Risk: public relations headache. Reward: cultural integrity and team cohesion. For Sue Bird, that's not a difficult choice. She spent her entire career making the hard right decision over the easy wrong one. This is just another example. But the announcement is coming soon, and when it does, this goes beyond basketball now. Because what's happening with Angel Reese and Sue Bird is crystallizing a fundamental tension in modern sports. The collision between athletic excellence and social media celebrity. And that tension is about to shape the future of women's basketball. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Angel Reese might be more valuable to the WNBA as a brand than Caitlin Clark. Think about that. Angel's social media engagement dwarfs most WNBA players. Her cultural reach extends far beyond basketball fans. She brings attention from fashion, entertainment, and lifestyle audiences who might never watch a game. In pure marketing terms, she's gold. The WNBA is growing. Attendance is up. Viewership is increasing. Sponsorship deals are getting bigger. And a significant portion of that growth is driven by players like Angel who transcend the sport itself. So when Sue Bird considers excluding her from Team USA, she's not just making a basketball decision. She's making a statement about what matters more: cultural relevance or competitive excellence. This is where the older generation and the younger generation of players are colliding. Sue Bird's generation built the WNBA through pure basketball excellence. They had to prove the product was worth watching. They had to earn every ounce of respect. They couldn't rely on social media because it didn't exist yet. Their path to relevance was through winning. Angel Reese's generation has a different toolkit. Social media allows them to build personal brands independent of team success. They can be famous without being champions. They can earn money without winning titles. Their path to relevance is through visibility. Neither approach is wrong in absolute terms, but they're incompatible at the Team USA level. Because Team USA is the last pure meritocracy in basketball. You can't Instagram your way onto the roster. You can't podcast your way into playing time. You have to actually be one of the 12 best players who fits the system and culture. And that's where Angel's approach fails. She's optimized for social media success, not basketball success. Here's what makes this moment so significant. The decision Sue Bird makes will set the precedent for the next decade. If Angel makes the roster despite her off-season priorities, it signals that cultural relevance and brand value are considered alongside basketball skills. If Angel gets cut, it signals that basketball excellence remains the only currency that matters for Team USA. Young players are watching. Coaches are watching. Sponsors are watching. And the decision will shape how future players approach their careers. Do you focus on your jump shot or your Instagram aesthetic? Do you spend your off-season in the gym or at Fashion Week? Do you build your brand through winning or through posting? Sue Bird is arguing that the answer should be obvious, but the broader sports culture is making it less clear. Look at the NBA. Players like Kyrie Irving have massive cultural influence despite not winning championships. Players like Ben Simmons got max contracts based on potential and marketability, not proven excellence. The business of basketball has started to decouple from the results of basketball. Sue Bird refuses to let that happen with Team USA, and that's why this decision is so important. It's not really about Angel Reese as an individual. It's about what standards get enforced when social media celebrity conflicts with traditional athletic values. Here's the question that's making this so complicated. Is Angel Reese actually hurting women's basketball, or is she expanding it? There's a genuine argument that her cultural reach brings new fans to the sport, that her fashion presence elevates the league's profile, that her willingness to talk about money opens important conversations. But there's an equally valid argument that she's distorting what the sport should value, that she's making young players think fame matters more than fundamentals, that she's undermining the credibility of the product itself. Sue Bird has chosen a side in that debate. She believes the game comes first. Everything else is secondary. And she's willing to accept the backlash to defend that principle. The announcement is expected within 2 weeks. USA Basketball will release the preliminary Team USA roster for upcoming international competitions. If Angel Reese's name is on that list, Sue Bird's stance was just posturing. The cultural pressure won. The marketing considerations overrode the basketball ones. If Angel's name is absent, the fallout will be immediate and intense. Accusations of discrimination. Claims that women athletes are held to unfair standards. Debates about generational differences and old-school thinking. Sue Bird is prepared for all of it, because she knows her legacy isn't defined by whether people like her decisions. It's defined by whether her decisions produce gold medals. And everything in her analysis tells her that Angel Reese, as currently constructed, doesn't help achieve that goal. Could Angel change? Absolutely. If she spent next off-season in the gym instead of on red carpets, if she worked with skills trainers instead of photographers, if she prioritized development over brand building, she could absolutely become a Team USA caliber player. The talent is there. The commitment isn't. And commitment is non-negotiable. Here's what's going to happen next. The roster will be announced. The reaction will be massive regardless of the decision. But the real story will unfold over the next year. If Angel is excluded and responds by doubling down on her basketball development, by proving Sue wrong through undeniable improvement, she could write one of the great redemption arcs in sports. If she responds by complaining, by framing herself as a victim, by continuing to prioritize everything except her game, she'll prove Sue right. The ball is literally in Angel's court. Sue Bird has made her assessment. Now Angel has to decide what she wants her legacy to be. Does she want to be remembered as an Instagram star who played basketball? Or as a basketball legend who happened to have Instagram? Because you can't be both. Not at the level Sue Bird is protecting. The next chapter is being written right now. So here we are. Sue Bird, one of the greatest winners in basketball history, is staring at a decision that will define how we remember this era of women's basketball. And Angel Reese, one of the most culturally relevant players in the game, is staring at consequences she might not have seen coming. This is the moment where legacy gets decided. Not by highlights. Not by Instagram followers. Not by podcast sound bites. By choices. Let me take you back to what this is really about. Sue Bird isn't trying to punish Angel Reese. She's not being vindictive. She's not operating from some outdated perspective that doesn't understand modern athlete branding. She's protecting something sacred. Team USA represents the absolute pinnacle of women's basketball. Every player who's worn that jersey earned it through years of unwavering commitment, sacrifice, and excellence. The gold medals hanging in Sue's home aren't decorations. They're proof of what happens when talent meets obsessive dedication. And she's looking at Angel's off-season and asking a simple question. Where's the dedication? The red carpets don't answer it. The salary complaints don't answer it. The edited gym videos don't answer it. The only thing that answers it is the work you do when nobody's watching. The shots you take after everyone else has left the gym. The film sessions at midnight. The brutal honesty about your weaknesses and the relentless pursuit of fixing them. Caitlin Clark is answering that question. Angel Reese isn't. And in Sue Bird's world, that's the only answer that matters. Here's what people need to understand. This isn't about whether Angel is good enough. She's talented. Nobody disputes that. Her rebounding is elite. Her motor is high. In a vacuum, her skills could contribute to Team USA. But Team USA doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a crucible where the pressure is immense, the scrutiny is constant, and the margin for error is zero. You need players who thrive in that environment. Players whose preparation is so thorough that execution becomes automatic. Players whose commitment to the collective erases individual ego. Everything about Angel's off-season suggests she's not ready for that. Maybe she will be someday. But not now. Sue Bird is making the hard call. And history will prove her right. You want to know how I know? Look at the pattern. Every time sports organizations have lowered their standards to accommodate cultural relevance over competitive excellence, they've regretted it. Every time they've chosen the popular player over the prepared player, it's backfired. Championships aren't won by followers. They're won by fundamentals. Gold medals aren't earned through engagement rates. They're earned through preparation. Legacy isn't built on Instagram. It's built on impact. Sue Bird knows this because she lived it. 4 WNBA championships. 5 Olympic golds, 19 years of sustained excellence. You don't achieve that by accident. You don't achieve that by going viral. You achieve that by making basketball your religion and the gym your church. Angel Reese has made social media her religion and red carpets her church. And Sue Bird is saying, that's fine. Build your brand. Make your money. Live your life. But you don't get to represent Team USA while doing it. Not on her watch. The question now is how Angel responds. This is her crossroads moment. She can take this as a wake-up call. She can spend the next year proving everyone wrong. She can disappear into the gym and emerge as a fundamentally better player. She can show that she's coachable, committed, and willing to prioritize craft over celebrity. If she does that, this story has a redemption arc that becomes legendary. Or she can double down. She can frame this as discrimination. She can complain louder about being misunderstood. She can continue prioritizing everything except basketball. If she does that, this story ends with her becoming a cautionary tale. Either way, Sue Bird will be vindicated. Because the standards she's enforcing aren't arbitrary. They're the standards that have produced American dominance in women's basketball for 3 decades. You don't abandon those standards because someone has 1 million Instagram followers. You don't compromise those standards because controversy gets clicks. You protect those standards because they're the foundation of everything you've built. And Sue Bird is a protector. She's protecting Team USA from distraction. She's protecting the culture from contamination. She's protecting the legacy from being diluted by players who want the honor without earning it. That's not being old school. That's being principled. There's a broader lesson here that extends beyond Angel and Sue. We're living in an era where visibility is often confused with value. Where fame is mistaken for achievement. Where having a platform is treated as equivalent to deserving one. Sports used to be the meritocracy that cut through all that noise. You either performed or you didn't. You either won or you lost. The scoreboard didn't care about your follower count. Sue Bird is trying to keep it that way. At least for Team USA. And thank God someone is. Because if we lose that, if we let social media metrics determine who represents our country in international competition, we've lost something essential about what sports are supposed to mean. Angel Reese has every right to build her brand however she wants. But she doesn't have the right to Team USA. That has to be earned. And right now, she hasn't earned it. The roster announcement is coming. When Angel's name isn't on it, the outrage will be loud. Let it be loud. Sue Bird has heard louder crowds, faced bigger pressure, and made harder decisions. She'll be fine. The question is whether Angel will be. Whether she has the character to look in the mirror and ask the hard questions. Whether she's willing to do the work that excellence requires. Whether she wants to be great or just wants to look great. Time will tell. But Sue Bird isn't waiting around to find out. She has gold medals to win. And she needs players who want the same thing. So here's my final word. Sue Bird is doing exactly what a leader should do. She's setting standards. She's enforcing accountability. She's refusing to compromise excellence for convenience. And if that costs her popularity points, so be it. Legacy isn't built on being liked. It's built on being right. And on this one, Sue Bird is absolutely right. Now it's your turn. Do you think Sue Bird should fire Angel Reese from Team USA? Let me know down in the comments below. Hit that like button if you think accountability matters more than followers. And subscribe because this story is just getting started. The decision is coming. And it's going to change everything.